Sorry. I was about to start it, and then the one comment that comes in just says, hold that.
What?
Hold
right
the draw at home,
red card?
apparently.
Oh God.
Yeah, God. 10 men this early in the season. Not a good look, man. Welcome everybody to another episode of whatever this is on TJ Warren TV. This is not an American Idiot Show because this is just a quick weekend review that me and Dow wanted to do. It is Labor Day here in the United States of America, so we have some time. We have some extra time to talk some footy. So big up everybody that's watching. Big up everybody that will be watching on playback. Make sure you're smashing the likes. Make sure that you're subscribing, and let's just go ahead and get into it. Dow, I think we're cooked. I'm not gonna lie. I think that what happened on Sunday, I mean, it wasn't the worst, or Saturday, it wasn't the worst case scenario. But you know, it definitely doesn't position us to do well going into coming out of the international break. Obviously Declan Rice receives a red card for 2 yellows and gets sent off. He will be unavailable against Tottenham. Will you tell me some positives? Do you have any positives you can tell me?
The positives is that maybe it's okay to recalibrate with Rice out. Thank God he's not injured, right?
Yeah.
I know he's going to be missing an important game. We all know that. But maybe this is sort of a test that we've got to see our way through, because we know injuries will happen and they will happen to important players, right?
Yeah.
So we got to treat this as maybe, okay, it's a yellow card, etc. Let's hypothetically pretend that maybe he's injured, right? And then, okay, Arteta, what do you do now? Well, yeah, of course, ER. Shout out. I mean, come on,
Big up ER.
Realistically, that's not going to happen. So
it's not going to happen. No.
With that said, right. With that said, I think Jorginho is the addition, right? He's going to put Jorginho in the back and, you know, put maybe Partey on the left. I think it's just a mixture of mixing the midfielders. And that's why I was so upset Saturday when I see a left back coming on for Trossard, which I didn't understand at all. From my point of view, if you're in a 4-3-3, all you got to do is go to a 4-4-1, right?
Yeah.
4-4-2 without the extra attacker. I mean, you still would have had Martinelli or Trossard on the left. You would have had Partey, Odegaard, and Saka, and you just would have had Havertz up front. But instead, he mixed it all around, made it all confusing, and that's what happened. But I know we'll dive into the game, but I think the bright spot is to kind of say, okay, it's the third week of the season. We're really only 2 points behind City. Things are going to change, and we all know things are going to go up and down during Christmas time for every team. It's still very early, and it's a draw. We didn't lose. Now, if we would have lost, that would have been a whole nother shit show, right? But the fact of the matter is, let's see what we can do against Tottenham. I don't trust Jorginho, and I don't know what lineup specifically he may put out there. Maybe he'll put Trossard on the left and Martinelli on the left wing. You know, but the thing is that we have options, even though they're not the best options we want. Like Marino, obviously, if he wasn't injured, he would slot right in there.
Yeah.
You know, we'll probably see Sterling. You know, not that I'm hyped about that. But, you know, I was looking at how much time he spent in the EPL, right? He spent, I think, 3 years at Liverpool, 7 years at City, and 2 years at Chelsea. So in that span of 7 years, he won a lot. Yeah, he can't finish. He's not the signing we wanted. But again, what if he scores that crucial goal for us when it's 1-1?
Yeah.
Right? He has the ability to do that. He just doesn't do it consistently, right? I mean, that's really, if you get down to it, that's really the point, or the problem we have with this signing, is that he's just not consistent. We know he can score goals, but it's just like he's just not the young baller that he was anymore either. And some would consider if he was really a baller anyway.
Yeah.
But 7 years at City, to me, you kind of look at that like he won a shit ton of trophies there. Like, he has experience in winning, even though we don't care for him. He's not Neto. He's not, he's not Diaby. I wish we would have gotten, years ago, but That's my point. So I guess to answer your question, TJ, not to keep rambling on, is that let's look at this Rice thing as just a test, right? We've got to look at it as a test and just recalibrate and get ready for the Derby.
Yeah, I think something's gonna happen for the Derby. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this is gonna be a perfect opportunity for him to stick Kai Havertz in the midfield. I have this sneaking suspicion that I think that now that we lost our left sided 8, he's gonna stick Jorginho back at the stay at home 6 because Jorginho has no pace and he can bing balls over the top. And then he'll put Havertz on the left sided midfield. Odegaard in the 10, and then he'll throw either Martinelli or Trossard on the left, and then either Sterling or Jesus if he's fit down the middle.
Right. I don't know if Jesus will be fit. And that's why we may see a 4-2-3-1. Now, if it's the same back four and Jorginho and Partey next to each other with, Trossard, Odegaard in the center 10 and Saka on the right and Havertz up front, that it would be, to me, the lineup. You can get away from the 4-3-3. And in my opinion, it leaves a lot of gaps anyway. So a 4-2-3-1 with Jorginho and Partey in front of the back four is not that bad. It can stall attacks. Jorginho will slow down the game, and Partey will have hopefully the opportunity to get up the pitch.
Yeah.
We won't have the Rice energy, but if he doesn't go to a 4-2-3-1, then I think again he's just making problems for himself because that's the obvious lineup with Rice out. That's the obvious formation.
Yeah. I could just see him doing it though, because this is whenever it seems like Arteta is making, and look, I don't really even fault him for what happened against Brighton. Obviously, that was I think that was just a dumb brain fart moment from Declan Rice. He was obviously very frustrated with how the game was going so far. Right. I mean, and I'm not really going to get in whether that was a red card or not. It was, and like during the watch along, I didn't understand what was happening, so I was raging. Connor was raging, but it was very obviously a second yellow, and he got sent off. Right. But I just think I guess especially against Tottenham's high line, we have to have a starting 11 out there that can hit them on the counter. I think that we'll be able to play that possession ball, but we know that Spurs are going to do everything they can, especially when they're at home, to hit us hard, to come at us early and hit us hard. Yeah. We just have to be able to counter and score, and we should be fine.
And we know Jorginho can pick a pass out, of 20, 25 yards.
Exactly.
And so but again, and that's where I hope he has enough sense to realize that the 4-2-3-1 formation, probably, maybe it's not his favorite, obviously, to use. He's used 4-3-3 consistently, but it makes sense now because it gives you that, again, that bank of 6, right, in the defensive third. So, I mean, we could really slow them down, I think, with Jorginho and Partey if they're both, ready to go. It depends what sort of performance we're going to get out of them, right? Yeah. Even now, more the performances don't warrant even the name on the shirt, let alone the badge. Yeah. Partey's been average. Timber, I'm not impressed with. Gabriel, the Bozo genes come back a few times.
Came back on that goal, that's for sure.
Yeah, but at the same time, was that Rice's fault because he would have been there and maybe failed that? I don't know. We can only speculate, but that, the thing is that we're too easy to beat. That was a 40-yard pass by Lewis Dunk through the middle, and not one player even got a toe on it, bro.
No,
and that's what's more worrying. It's not even like, they scored. We knew they were going to score. I think my prediction was 3-1, but I mean,
at that point in the match, being down,
if Saka could finish, if fucking Trossard could have, bagged one.
Well, no, and here's and big up Jaminho. Big up Jaminho again. He says Raya booked for wasting 20 seconds of time, but no issue when Joao Pedro does it. No, and here's the thing: is that there were some major inconsistencies there, but we shouldn't need to be relying on the refs' decisions going our way to beat Brighton and Hove Albion at home. Like this,
we had 6 opportunities, clear-cut chances yesterday. Yes. We could have pounded them 4-5-1 if we were fucking on it, but we weren't on it at all.
No, not at all. No, not at all. And it was not crisp. It wasn't clean. I mean, and here's the thing: is like and this is gonna sound like an old sports adage, is like when you have those bad days, it's the cream that rises to the top to be able to get through those rough days and still get results. And I thought that when we went down to 10 men, I was just like, okay, put everybody behind the ball and let's just stink it out. And then but during the goal, I mean, we just got ripped wide open. There was nothing we could do. And at that point, a draw is acceptable, especially because I think just due to the scenario, I think Arteta played it correctly in putting 5 men on and just making sure that we get the point. But the fact that we're doing that and we're having this conversation about a match that was on August 31st is really disheartening. And we're gonna. What I'm afraid of, Dal, is we're gonna end up talking about this match in April, saying, what were we doing? Like we showed one more time that mentally we were not there. Like Declan Rice, I'm sorry, man. Like that was stupid.
I was like, just walk away, bro. It takes more effort and stupidity to do what you did than just walk away and keep playing. Like, especially being on a yellow, you think you would have a little more sense than that. But I completely get his mind state. He was more upset at the ref. I think the players were more upset at the ref than they were actually each other as fucking opponents out on the pitch. Both teams were upset at the ref during the whole match because it was so inconsistent. But again, we can't let those ref decisions not be the reason that we didn't put the ball in the back of the net. Havertz looked like fucking Bambi on ice out there at times yesterday. Saka played good for 10, 15 minutes, a decent cross.
I swear to God, I think I caught Kai onside once, and that was when he scored the goal. Like he was like 10 yards in front of the back of the line.
Feet. I mean, I watched the highlights last night, and there was 4, 5, 6 clear-cut chances with any striker with any sort of pedigree and composure and confidence would just trap it left, put it on your right, and put it far post, and the keeper's on the ground already. That's the thing. The keeper was like on the ground for 3 of those shots that we put. There's no power. There's no curve. There's no nothing. He's just there to tap it in. But when that doesn't work, again, no plan B because we didn't sign a striker. Someone even like Gyökeres at this point who can get his head on a ball. Kai Havertz gets, 2 or 3 chances to head the ball, and one of them may go in the goal, but 3 or 4 of them will go over the post or to the side or backwards. I mean, he headed one backwards yesterday.
That header that went backwards, and then you said Bambi on ice. That reminds me of that chance, that clear cut chance he had in there, and then just completely tripped over the ball, and it goes over the hell line. Yeah, and it goes over the half line, and you're over the goal line. You're just like, you got to be fucking kidding me, dude! Like, what are we doing? This is the Premier League,
right? And it looked like the players were on different speeds, on different pages. Kai Havertz was just like go, 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 which I get, but you can't really do that against Brighton. They're going to drop their midfielders back a bit. They're big, strong defenders. Lewis Dunk, I mean, I don't really rate him that much, but he's a big dude out there, and he knows how to defend and play. And there wasn't anyone like Jesus in there, causing chaos. Not that would have worked anyway. I mean, it's just, to not get a striker even in January till now is a joke. And look at Osimhen probably going to Galatasaray on loan. I mean, really?
You can't tell me. You're telling me like we can't get like an Osimhen on loan, but he's going to go to Turkey and play. That's just absolutely crazy to me. I mean, and that just means there's some backroom shit going on. Like the agent isn't getting his fee or some shit. Like that's absolutely ridiculous. You take one of the highest rated strikers in the world and then ship him off to Turkey, where
I don't know what PSG were thinking. Once they got that Mbappe money, I thought Osimhen was the first one on their list.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, is that, if we get that striker, history tells us it doesn't always work out. And that's the other thing. And that's why I personally don't want to spend 100 mil on a striker that's gives us 10 goals in return or something and becomes a flop. And then the fan base is really fucking angered and inflamed, right? And that we don't need any more division in the fan base. But Arteta's got to figure this out, because if we draw or lose at Tottenham, to me it's officially done.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Officially done, because I don't see us getting out of third and fourth. It's just Newcastle look good. Aston Villa will come back once they get to clicking. City are just a machine, and there's just who's going to stop them besides Starsky and Hutch? I think our defense can stop them, but then we got to score goals too, right? And that's going to be the hard part.
Yeah. Is there anything that we could have? Big up Ravi for the question, guys. Get your questions in. We'll answer them as long as we're live here. We'll be live for another 45 minutes or so before I go over to American Waffle and get cooked. Can't wait. Ravi says, Dal, could Arsenal have won the game even with the red card?
Yep. Going to a 4-4-1 formation. You still got Havertz up front, Saka on the left. You got Partey and Odegaard in the middle, and Saka on the right. I mean, right? So you still have your front four midfielders. You just pack it up, use a bit of a low block, and try and hit them on the counter, which I think would have worked.
Yeah.
But instead he put a fifth defender out there, right? And then he kept the kind of the midfield two in front of the five. I mean, it was weird. Why would you have three attackers when your main box to box is gone? You just bring the wingers back.
Yeah.
Right. To even up with Partey and Odegaard in the middle. So it's 4-4 and then the lone striker. It would be 4-4-2, right? If there wasn't the red card. So yeah, Robbie, I think 4-4-1, you just keep it balanced in the midfield and try and hit them on the counter. It does bring back Saka and Martinelli. They got more, hell of a lot more room to run to try and get into the attacking third, but that's just the way it goes, and that's what happens. But I would not have brought on a fifth defender. That's where I think you and I disagree slightly, TJ. I don't see, I don't like Calafiori when it's 1-1 against Brighton at home. This isn't the game for Calafiori, right? Is he ready for this kind of pressure? Does he understand the pressure that we're in the third week? Right. And that's why I was like, what is he doing? Why are we just not getting more compact and just still trying to get that goal at home? This is all at home, bro. This isn't like we were away at Brighton or some, cup semifinal at Wembley or some shit. We were at home and he made bad decisions in subbing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree and I disagree. It's just I think just with the way the game was going, I understood the decision. Like I'm not, obviously I'm not my stocks aren't really high in Arteta right now, but I don't think that was necessarily the wrong decision just based off of how the game was going from a momentum standpoint. I mean, after Rice got sent off, it didn't look like we were going to be generating anything.
Yeah,
no, it was completely. We were dead up front. I don't even remember us getting.
Dude,
I don't even remember us getting a shot, to be honest. So, Jamino says, "Who's going to play midfield versus Spurs? Because there's no Marina, no Rice, probably no Partey, and Odegaard went off injured, which is worrying." Do you want to answer this one first, Al?
From what I've read and heard, Odegaard is not injured. He just had a knock. And I haven't heard anything about Partey, but my thing would be Jorginho is he would have to move away from the 4-3-3 and go to a 4-2-3-1, as is a little more defensive. And if Partey's ready to go and Jorginho's fit, they've got to be in front of the back four.
Yeah. I agree.
And I think,
100%.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's a part of me that thinks I would rather play Zinchenko than Timber just because of the experience factor.
Yeah.
Against Tottenham. I know that's a hard call, but Timber, bro, it's his third game for Arsenal. I mean, is he ready for the London derby? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I
hate Zinny. I want him out, but I mean, at this point, I want experience. And if he has to invert in a 4-2-3 to make it a 3-3-1, basically. I don't know. But Arteta has to move away from the 4-3-3.
I just say for Spurs, yeah, I agree with that midfield. I think that's going to be good enough. But like, if you're talking about left backs, honestly, whoever's playing left back is inconsequential to me because they have Brendan Johnson over there on the right, and he stinks. Like he's a freaking pat. No. Here's why I want it. I want Timber over there.
The box. That's what I'm worried about.
He can rip the ball into the box, and he has pace. So that's why I don't really necessarily want Zinchenko up there because Zinchenko goes up in midfield, gives the ball away, then Brendan Johnson's going to cook him.
But if our two mids are already up there, let's say, for instance, he does do a 4-2-3-1 with Zinchenko and Partey, he won't need to invert.
I hope you're right. I hope
the way I would do it. I mean,
no, I know. I hear you.
I don't know, but I just think that the experience Zinchenko has brought for the last couple of years, as shit as it's been, is a better gamble in the North, in the NLD, than Timber is right now for his very first one. If we had 3 points right now against Brighton, hey, we'd be in the 9-point club, right? And so we would have really a lot more confidence. Even if Rice had that red card, we got the 3 points, let's say at home, I would have confidence, but I don't, because who's going to be the real engine in midfield? It's not Odegaard. Is Nwari the guy to bring in? I'm not so sure. Timber, Nwari, and Martinelli on the left. That's kind of weak.
You can't put Wanyeri into a North London derby.
Right. Yeah. Just like I feel the same for Timber right now. That's why I would go with Zinni, even though I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth. But he the more experienced left backs, and the one that's probably more gelled with obviously the back four, it's Zinni.
I think if he plays Zinni, he's gonna be slotting in Havertz in the midfield. I think that happens.
But who's up front then? If Jesus has to be not injured? Then?
Oh, geez.
I think he's injured. I think he's out.
You're not gonna like what I'm gonna say.
What are you gonna say?
Sterling.
Oh fuck! I forgot about him.
Sterling,
our new number 10. He's not going to be a striker, bro. He's not a striker.
No, he's been played. He got played in the false nine several times with that absolute fraud Pochettino there. I don't think that he would. I don't think that he would if Jesus was available. But I'm just kind of saying, like, I can see Arteta doing something crazy just because I'm going to say that before I'll say it again. Like, is it the smartest thing in the world? No, which is why I think Arteta will do it. That's why I'm worried about it.
Yeah, I think he probably comes off the bench. If he starts, I mean, if he starts, he's going to have Martinelli and Trossard just glaring at him.
Yeah,
big up, Anthony. You know what I mean?
No, probably not. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know. I think he comes off the bench, Anthony, to be honest.
Yeah. After, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about Trossard here. I thought Trossard stunk.
It was terrible.
Yeah. So like, and this was the thing. A lot of people in this fan base forgot. I was getting tons of shit about waffling about having Martinelli benched or Trossard start, and it's just because Trossard historically has trouble getting out of the gate. Like, if the game's already warmed up, he'll come in and he'll be an impact, but getting into the game for him is extremely hard when he starts, and it's really hard to watch. I saw it during the preseason, saw it yesterday.
Remember Fulham last season?
Yeah, again, yeah, exactly, same thing. I mean, it's a carbon copy. Which is why I think, like, in NLD, Martinelli got his start back just by not screwing up. Like, I'm going to be 100% honest. Like Trossard had something to prove. He went out there. He didn't celebrate after he scored against Villa. Good for you, big man on campus. Blah blah blah. But then you go out there and you lay a fucking egg like that.
Right.
You lose all whatever capital you had in the bank on that. I thought he was terrible. I thought he was fucking terrible. I thought he was terrible.
I wasn't really into
him and
I would think I'd give him like a 4 out of 10.
Okay, so no, like,
you get the ball out. You can watch the highlights, just watch him give up the ball, I think like 4 or 5 times in a row. And he's short in stature. He was just getting pushed on from behind and losing the ball. It was bad. It was really bad.
I mean, well, let me ask you this question. Who played well? Because it's easier. It's harder. This is how you know it's a bad game. It's hard.
I thought Ben White was invisible, so he was decent. I guess. I don't remember seeing him on the pitch. But
this match, it's easier to pitch. It's easier to pick out who did badly, and that's the problem. Like, my man of the match for Arsenal, if they could give him one, it was David Raya. Again.
Yeah, that save he made with his legs. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah. I mean. David Ray gets my man of the match, TJ, again.
Yeah.
In the big third fucking week of the season. And Trossard, there's a point I need to make as well, I think, a little bit. Bro, you scored in the second game of the season. Sit down. Maybe you are the impact guy, but you're not a starter. He was completely bullied off the ball against Brighton, bro. I think there's literally 4 times in a row he gave the ball up. Martinelli, does he give the ball up? Yes, but at least you can see that he's, tiki-taka around defenders, trying to make something happen, and we're yelling him to lift his head up. Trossard has his back to goal. He's fucking useless.
Yep.
He's fucking useless with his back to goal. So, Martinelli to me needs to start in the North London derby. And if it's 1-1 in the 72nd minute, Trossard, hey, guess what? The stars have aligned. You get off the bench. But he may not, right? He may play Sterling on that left. He may play Sterling on the right. Maybe he comes on for Saka in the 80th minute. But I don't think Sterling starts this game.
No, he won't.
It's not bled in enough. The training time isn't there. Maybe the match fitness just quite isn't up to par for what we need. Big up, buddy.
Big up, Eddie. Hey, Eddie. I didn't realize you weren't a mod on here. You are now, bud. Big up every single time. Big up, Eddie, every time. Legend.
Shout out, Eddie. So, I don't know. It's again. I think it completely depends on the formation, meaning that we move away from the 4-3-3 into the 4-2-3-1. Put Partey and Jorginho in front of the back four, and I would hope. Right, here's the thing, too, TJ. We have to, like I was getting back to my point with Rice, let's pretend he's injured. We have to cope with these challenges if we want to win a title. There will be games Odegaard possibly get injured. We know Partey's injury record. You know, Gabriel has a tendency. Saliba still has back issues, right? Don't think just because he pulled his back once that's like gone forever, right? Yeah. If Ben White gets injured, what do we do? Tomiyasu's still on the operating table eating fruit chews. I mean, we have to adjust. And so this is going to test Arteta of how he makes an adjustment without, in all honesty, his star man, right? Yeah. This is our big, 100 million signing who, thank God, isn't injured, just did something dumb and will be back. But, I just think that if he keeps the 4-3-3, it's going to open us up. We're going to have too many lanes, too many gaps in the middle. And who is that left mid? God forbid if it's Havertz. And Nwari, maybe there's a shout there, maybe. But I'm not so sure.
I just don't think Nwaneri's ready yet, to be honest. Like I want to see him get blooded into games a little bit more, but unfortunately, our Premier League games aren't tight, are too tight right now to give any of the youngsters meaningful minutes. Like if we're up 3-0, like if we would have gone up 3-0 in the first match, we against Wolves, then we probably would have seen him. But when our starting 10 is not performing and is not showing out again, like what are we expect a 17-year-old kid to come out who has never started a meaningful match for Arsenal to come out and make a difference? Like, it's not going to happen. And look, on that topic, we need to talk about Martin Odegaard again. Like the goatee isn't helping. Shave it off. It's just, I've never seen an Arsenal captain with his head down as much as I saw him with his head down on Saturday.
Right.
It was just not inspiring. And we've given this guy shit. Like it seems like I'm on a seesaw with Martin Odegaard. He will either go out there and put in a 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 performance, or he'll go out there, he'll put in a 3 or a 4 and suck. Right. I mean, and this weekend was that exact example. I just don't see him. Like, when I think about Arsenal captains, I think about like somebody that can put the team on their back, and he's just not somebody that can in the big games. Like, and whether or not we want to admit it or acknowledge it, in my opinion, that game was the game before the game. Like, now going into the international break, our heads are down. We're missing our best arguably our best midfielder,
our best midfielder.
Yeah. And now we're going into an international break that could yield injuries. We're going, and then we're going into hopefully
toughest game of
the most difficult week of the season. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse than this, because we have Tottenham away, then we have Atalanta away for the Champions League, and that is going to be an absolute shit show. Like, Atalanta's fans are crazy. Atalanta's fans are crazy.
Oh yeah, and they're good, bro. They're good.
They're good. I mean, they just won a Europa League, man. They're good.
Yeah, true. They beat an incredible Bayern Leverkusen team. That's true.
Yeah. So like, I'm going to be honest with you. The only expectation that I have is to win against Spurs. And right now it's like, I think Spurs are kind of limping along too, and they're looking for a reason.
They're figuring it out. Right.
Yeah. And
I think a lot of teams are figuring it out now besides Liverpool and City, to be honest. I mean, they've picked up right where Klopp left off. Slot is basically his Dutch twin brother, essentially, right? I mean, he probably came in and Klopp said, "Here's what I do. Here's the most success here's what I use, the tools I've used to find the most success with this squad." And Arnie Slot went, "Okay, ditto." Getting the best out of Luis Diaz. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Nunez has obviously stayed there and has a big smile on his face, even though he's still crap, but I would have taken him at Arsenal. But other than that, yeah, so I think a lot of teams are still, again, finding their feet out still. It's only the third week, but, it's no excuse for Rice to do what he did, knowing that you're on a yellow card, knowing you're playing at home, early game of the season. And I know he's not thinking all that because all of their rage was towards the ref, right? He didn't do that. He did that because he was just spiteful.
Yeah.
But again, we've got to look at the North London Derby as a challenge. That's, again, mindset. Maybe Rice is injured. Maybe these other players get injured. But like you were saying, and one thing back to Odegaard, you had a complete
Big up the
100% good point when he puts his head down. How many passes did he miss and then his head goes down? I don't see Kevin De Bruyne doing that. I don't see Kevin De Bruyne put his head down at all, right? He makes a bad pass, he chases down the ball. Odegaard puts his head down for half a second, and they're already through.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think you're right.
It's just, and look, like they're breaking my. I said it the other day, and I'm really not trying to be dramatic, but I think I'm glad that they're breaking my heart early, because these are the games that we knew we needed to get through to, possibly dropping points to stem the tide of possibly dropping points away at Tottenham and away at Man City. Like winning at Tottenham, I don't give a shit who they are. Who's out on the pitch for them. They're always going to be up for it. The crowd is going to be absolutely insane, and they're going to be looking for a reason. They need somebody. They need a team to turn it around because they were not good against Newcastle yesterday. They were not good, and they're going to be looking for a backup and a wounded Arsenal. And whether or not we want to admit it, we're wounded right now. We're wounded. Our confidence is shot. We were blaming the refs. And again, that's another mentality thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Dal. I was kind of embarrassed, to be honest, that we went after the ref like we did. Like, yeah, was it shit? Yeah, he was bad. But how many times has Michael Oliver gone out there and fucked us? Like, how many times has Anthony Taylor? Like, it doesn't really matter. Like
had the Shaka fucked us.
Yeah, like how many times do we need to stick our hand on the burner before we learn? Like, this is not. It reminded me. Honestly, it reminded me of when we lost at Newcastle last season. And
I was thinking the same thing. When the ball
and they were and they're bitching about the refs and they're doing, oh well, it wasn't even. Yeah, no, you know what? You're right. It wasn't even. But you're a professional footballer. You should know, after playing for however long you've been playing, 20 years you've been playing, you should know that officiating doesn't always go your way. You have to find ways to get through it. And I honestly thought, like, them sitting up there and trashing the refs was embarrassing. Like, I thought we were past this. Like, I really did. I was hoping we were. But now we're sitting there, we're blaming the refs. And if we blame the refs, I don't think we take accountability for our own mistakes. And and there were plenty.
Bro, look at the highlights. Look at how many chances Havertz had. 2 clear chances, put it at the keeper's feet. Saka had a chance, he put it at the keeper's feet. I mean, again, like I said earlier in the show, it could have been, I don't know, 4 or 5 at one point.
Well,
it's like, and those missed chances and those missed shots on goal has nothing to do with referee decisions. Nothing. It is clearly our fault that we did not convert the chances that were given. And there were several of them. Again, I watched the highlights again last night. Even they're highlights for a reason, because we missed opportunities. Ball on his left foot for Havertz, puts it right at the goalie, and the defender's 3 yards off him. Stop, curve it around, let the defender go around you, and put it in far post. I mean, it's some of like football striker basics 101 that he's just not doing. And this is the reason why, one, we needed a real full-fledged striker that has real in-game experience at the position, not, off and on for two different clubs, right?
Yeah.
And then again, we need someone who has a pedigree of scoring goals, a record of scoring goals, and we let that opportunity pass. And we didn't, even in the transfer window, we didn't even get like for like. We get rid of Nketiah. We didn't even bring in a striker. Like, what are we doing, bro? Like, that's the thing with City. They replace a left winger or a right winger or a center back. They replace that exact position.
Yeah, and somebody with the potential to be even better.
Yes, too. Yes, but you've got to play them in the right positions from the get-go. You cause confusion and havoc. And I'm going to shout out Odegaard, because could you imagine how confusing it must be at times for him to be in Arteta's setup and be Arteta's captain?
Yeah.
And Arteta trying to explain to Odegaard what he wants, and Odegaard having to deliver that as a 24-year-old kid, 25. And again, there's a reason why Odegaard's been in the shop window for the last 10 years. I mean, right? Sociedad, Real Madrid didn't want him. Sociedad didn't want him. This club didn't want him. Oh, he's perfect for Arsenal because we liked him when he was 14.
Well, no, and here's the thing about Odegaard too. Well, no, and here's the thing about Odegaard too. And Anthony, I want to get to this question. Big up to you and big up to your tractor.
Shout out Bristol.
Yeah, every single time. Shut up, Bristol. Every single time that we bring up Martin Odegaard, you will hear happy clappers in our fan base just assign him the world class. And he's had world class performances. Don't get me wrong, but he's
good
so
player.
Fucking inconsistent. And you can blame. I don't know whether it's because of Arteta and the way that he plays him, and the fact, as you alluded to, like Arteta probably tells him 1,000 different things to do and track on and all this different stuff. And like that could be a contributor, but at the end of the day, you're Arsenal's captain and you need to start being that playmaker. You need to start making plays when we need them the most. And a majority of the time, it's like 50-50. Like you don't know which Odegaard you're going to get in these big ass matches, man. And that's the most frustrating part to me. It's just like, I think Odegaard is like, if I were able to go get a drink with Odegaard, I'm sure he would be like a really, really nice guy.
Yeah,
but I'm not assassinating his character, but on the pitch, I just think that he's lacking a little bit of the grit that we need and a little bit of the leadership that we need to get hard matches.
I think you know this about football, right? There's really two different types of players, right? There's the blue collar, hardworking Kieran Tierney type player, right? And then there's the privileged, finesse filled, higher class, right, socioeconomic footballer. And that's where kind of Odegaard comes from, that world. So football to me has always been sort of at times been like a prestigious sport, right? Like a high class, upper class sport. But the roots of it obviously are from, working class folks, blue collar, what we call blue collar folks here in America. But there's a certain large group across the globe, world football, that come from like real high class societies, right? And Odegaard is one of those guys. You can't touch him. His hair is perfect. He's got he's just that finesse player. While someone like Kieran Tierney, or I don't know, you can say Patrick Keown back in the day, Saul Campbell, Patrick Vieira, come from that real rugged background that despises that type of player in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So that dichotomy has always been in world football. It's either you're on the real prissy upper side class, right? Or you're the blue collar guy who's just fucking is the engine in the squad. And so the mixture of those two don't always work well. Right. You can look back. Many people in the chat look back at the old Arsenal of the 90s, right? Saul Campbell, Tony Adams, drinkers, Paul Merson, drinker, after the kick, drinking Saturday night, right? They don't do that anymore. And even
permanent before the match
in the Arsenal squad, Odegaard would not be participating in that behavior. You see what I'm saying? So I think when you bring almost the clash of classes, right, of socioeconomic classes together, and I know I'm going out on some sort of right field tangent,
That's what
but
we're
I
about
think
here.
a lot of that happens, right? Odegaard's expectations are this and that. Tony Adams' expectations for himself and the squad were X, Y, and Z. But Odegaard just doesn't have that strength, like you said, even the mental strength. He makes a bad pass, his head goes automatically down. I'm telling my 13-year-old, don't put your head down when you miss a shot in basketball. Like,
You have
what
yeah,
maturity
because
level is Odegaard at? If I'm saying the same thing to my kid in rec basketball, don't put your head down when you miss a shot, right? And you're right, he visibly did that.
well,
Yes, on Saturday.
what you're doing there, I mean, and it's literally a physical, it's a physical white flag that you're waving.
Absolutely.
You're
Everyone
letting them
sees
know
it.
that you are so down on yourself, or what they are doing is impacting you so much that you are literally looking at the ground. Like, it is a submissive action. And look, we all get down sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Big up mental health. But at the same time, you by doing that, you are putting a negative vibe out there. You put blood in the
Right.
water for
Right.
your opponents, and everybody around you, the team that you're supposed to be lifting up, is their heads go down right with you. So I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I've
He
talked enough
sees it.
about this guy.
A lot of body language, right? But it's a big point. Is like you can see the clear differences in just the nonverbal communication. The difference between Odegaard and someone like KDB.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and I wanted to answer Anthony's question. We're one injury away from not having a striker. If Havertz gets injured, who do you see fit up front if that happens? It's going to be Trossard. It's definitely going to be Trossard. If it gets later in the season, I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, to see a Sterling drop in there if Gabriel Jesus continues to have the health issues that he has.
Right.
By the way, guys, make sure you're smashing the likes and hitting the subscribe button. What did you think, Dal, on this one?
Say it one more time about the striker getting injured.
Yeah. What happens if Havertz gets injured? Essentially,
Martinelli or Sterling is a false nine.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, because Jesus is the basically Jorginho of a striker. He plays 3 games, he's injured. I mean, it's just we're paying this guy what 220 bags a week for
Yep.
Jesus. You know, my wife is even saying he looks like a damn comic book character when he disagrees with the ref with his eyebrows and his
Yeah.
facial expressions. I mean, it's just I'm done with it. Like, score goals, bro. Just score goals and shut up. You know, and he just doesn't do that. And he overplays. I think that leads to his injuries, right? You start diving into balls and getting in front of defenders, and they're pushing you around. You're gonna pull something. You're gonna get cracked out there because Gabriel is not the type. I don't think even in training to let you just go around him.
Yeah. I
You
just
know, it's weird. It's just weird that he's injured so much.
Yeah, I'm just it's disappointing because I rated him so highly when he came in, and now we're sitting here again in September 2nd in the year of our Lord 2024,
Right.
and we're talking about a Gabriel Jesus injury and the fact that he can't contribute to the team positively.
Right.
And it's the same old rinse and repeat at this point, and only this time the arc episode is coming a little bit earlier,
Right.
potentially. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just we have to bounce back against Tottenham. David Raya again. I don't think he's getting enough kudos for the fact that we got away with that. We got away with 1 point. That leg save was absolutely incredible. He's been the most consistent player for us. He made meaningful saves against Wolves, Villa, and this past weekend against Brighton. Do you think? I mean, we can't continue this way. Like that's the biggest thing with me is that we have to get our back line situated because they looked rough. When we went down to 10 men, it looked really, really rough. And yeah, I mean, we just got to settle things down and get through Tottenham. If we lose to Tottenham, though, I think we're in trouble.
Oh yeah,
So,
no. If we lose to Tottenham, there's going to be hell to pay. You
yeah.
know, Rice will have to send an apology letter to the whole Gooner fan base. Um, you know, yeah, it's peak right now. But our bench is weak. But let's say Moreno's not injured and he's on the bench. Tomiyasu's not injured, he's on the bench. Sterling, I think maybe there's a little something there. I mean, the bench isn't all that terrible, right? But it's definitely far from what we would have expected now. 2 seasons ago, we would expect this season to be far beyond where we were, right? 2 seasons ago.
I mean, and we
Right?
had
nothing's really changed but Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
And Calafiori and Marino, but we don't know what they're going to do. And Timber's a brand new signing too, practically. He's only had 1 game under his belt.
Yeah, well, I would assume that we're probably limiting Timber's minutes a little bit. But I mean, again, like you name the bench. I mean, and we had Salah on the bench. I'm not talking about Muhammad. I'm talking about the kid in our academy on the bench this past match. So I mean, again, the depth, especially with the Marino injuries, the Jesus injury, the Tomiyasu injury, it's not good. It's not good.
Yep.
So hopefully we can get some of those guys back over the international break. Obviously, we got the news today that Marino probably won't be back until after the October international break, which is absolutely insane to me. Which, by the way, why do they have so many international breaks? Didn't we just get done with a summer of international fixtures? And now, like, Canada and the U.S. are playing down the street from me next weekend. I'm like, what the? Like, we just did this.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. It's so dumb. I don't know what all the fixtures are about. Maybe Anthony knows something about it that we don't. I don't know. It just ruins the season a bit, to be honest.
No, it does.
Ruins momentum, right? Let's say we get 3 wins and they got an international break, and then I don't know.
Well, no, and I want to look something up real quick. Hold on.
I think the manager trusts Martinelli, Jahio, to be honest.
Yeah,
Jahio.
big up Joe. Yeah,
I think he trusts him, but there's no real end product for Martinelli right now. He can dribble, right? He can get past defenders and pass the ball backwards and sideways, but there's no real end product for Martinelli right now. But if he gets his shooting boots on and he can whip some balls across the face of goal, it's gonna be what he needs to do to get back in good graces of Arteta. And it's interesting that we have another left winger too. So he doesn't trust Martinelli, he doesn't trust Trossard. Now he wears Sterling, who he worked with 5 years ago. Like, really?
Yeah. I wanted to see real quick.
Oh, crap.
What?
Terry. Oh, just looking at Manic's comment. I wanted to see the stream with Terry.
What stream? Sorry, I'm
came back from Diesel and Tell. Remember Diesel and Terry?
Oh yeah. Oh, they came back.
Terry, I think he's on Early Doors show this morning or earlier today. Let us know what's going on, Manic or Anthony.
Let us know.
If Terry coming back. If that show's done, I want to watch that later today. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, and here's the thing. We were talking about fixture congestion. I wanted to look up who England played and when they play. So they play away at Ireland on Saturday, and then they play the following Tuesday. They play Finland at Wembley. So think about this. Your name is Bukayo Saka. You just played this past Saturday. You're going to play next Saturday. You're going to play that Tuesday. And then the next Saturday after that, you're playing at Tottenham away. Then the next Thursday after that, you're playing Atalanta away, because he's starting every match. He's starting every fucking match. And then the following Sunday, you have to play Man City away.
Yeah, it's peak, bro.
So you got Bukayo Saka getting absolutely run into the ground immediately. That's what's so crazy about this. Oh, you'll never guess who just popped into the back, Dal.
Ooh, let me guess. Acers?
It's just
guys.
Yeah, buddy.
Yes.
We're all streaming at the same time today, weren't we?
Everybody decided to go live at the same time.
Yeah, I did a short one. I actually cut it back, so I'll send people over to you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So
happy Monday.
Well, no, and Jez, I'm glad that you joined, because my next show got pushed back a little while, so we're gonna go. Dal, are you good to go an extra 30?
Oh yeah, for sure. I got the day off today, so
perfect. Love it.
Labor
Jez,
Day here in America.
Yeah, Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to all the Americans out there, by the
Labor Day.
way. Yes, absolutely. Yes, and big up everybody that came over from Jez's channel.
Yep,
Make
and
sure that you guys are subbing to the channel if you guys are new, and obviously if you have not heard of Arsenal history and more, you live under a rock, and his channel will be in the description. So, Jez, we kind of just got done talking about the Arsenal Brighton game. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts. I know you've been probably talking about it for the last 48 hours straight, but I mean, what really stuck out with you? The biggest thing was obviously, I just think after the Rice sending off, we were dead in the water. There was nothing. We were lethargic. We weren't going. There was nothing we were gonna do moving forward. Arteta's substitutions put us in a position where it was it was obviously just easy to see that we were going to just try to get the 1 point and not concede. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I'm just, it's concerning. No.
Massive concerns, man. Massive. I mean, I don't want to touch it too much again, but I've just done a long debate show, 40 odd minutes about the red card. Was it, wasn't it? Blah, 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 blah. So I'm not going to bore you to death with that anymore. But I have major concerns. Major concern. I don't think Declan Rice looks right. I don't think he's looked right in the Euros. I don't think he's looked right since he's come back. And I said to the guys when I did a show back, when I just did that show, we're 2 injuries away, boys. 2 injuries away from capitulation.
Some shit hitting the fan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're in deep doggy doo-doo. 12 Arsenal players have been selected for the Euros.
Oh, shit.
12.
Oh, my God.
And then we've got Partey in December going to the AFCON qualification.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we all know.
Oh, my God. I forgot about that. Great.
We all know that Partey, when he goes there, gets crocked.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
100%.
after the Euros, people, we go Tottenham away, Atalanta away, Man City away. And yet everybody's telling me, right, I'm being told, oh, well, yeah, we'll be all right. Well, hello, I actually said, hello, if we're sitting in 6th spot at Christmas, what are you going to tell me then? What are you going to? Oh, I had a fella on my comments earlier. Right, by the way, boys. Right, okay, bye, yeah. Oh, we got the January window. Oh, okay. What have we done in the January window for the last 3 years?
Last time we had a January window, Jez, we signed David Raya, and that was it.
Yeah. Who did we sign? I mean, come on.
We didn't even sign anybody in the past January window.
Be excited, Jez.
We
Be
didn't
happy,
sign anybody.
Jez.
What are these people on, boys? I mean, come on.
They're deluded as fuck, bro.
We didn't sign anybody.
Dear God Almighty, what are you looking at? You're looking at something totally different to me, because I'm obviously smelling the wrong flowers here. Because seriously, man, it's
you just smelling the manure the flowers are supposed to be coming out of, but they just got smothered in shit. I know I'm with you, Jez, and look, like, it's still the same thing that you and Lee and Northside have been rattling on about since before I got on YouTube, is that we don't have
4 years. 4 years, TJ.
It's the same shit. It's the same thing over and over again. Is we lack the depth. We're not serious about going out and getting real depth. And when we go out and get that depth, it's finding a home for all the lost Chelsea puppies out there. Like, it's an absolute joke. Go ahead, Dal. Sorry.
I've said it before on streams many times. This club cannot get out of finding the left winger gem that's the next fucking Thierry Henry. Why do we have 3 left wingers? Why? So if he doesn't rate Martinelli, he doesn't really rate Trossard. He's finally gone back to who he worked with 7 years ago at City. Sorry, 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago, right? 6 years ago. I mean, it's like Edu doesn't know the market. Arteta doesn't know who he wants, right? Or he has all these fantastical choices about these players that he thinks we can maybe get in. I don't know what these guys are thinking at all. And then Osimhen is going to Galatasaray on loan. Are you fucking kidding me? I just like, what is going on? And I said earlier in the show, Jez, before you hopped on, is that with pertaining to Rice, that we've got to maybe in our own psychological minds pretend that he's kind of injured, because we may need this kind of challenge, right? I want to see Arteta challenge without his prized boy, right? I want to see Arteta go from a 4-3-3, Jez, to a 4-2-3-1 with logical decisions as Jorginho and Partey in front of the back four, right? I don't want to see 4-3-3 with Havertz at left mid and all of a sudden Trossard's the false nine. We know he cannot start any more games. He is not a starter at this club. He was dog shit Saturday.
Backs.
One of the worst players on the pitch. I counted 4 times in a row, Jez, he gave the ball up. 4 times. Odegaard gave the ball up, head down, picks it back up. The play's already gone. TJ mentioned that today. Why does he put his head down when he misplaces a pass? KDB misplaces a pass, he runs the ball down like a normal attacking midfield player would do. He doesn't put his head down in sorrow while the other team's going up the fucking pitch. It's just, we were a shadow of what I saw even at the end of last season. We were a shadow of what we saw in January of this year when we were scoring goals for fun. 31 scored, 4 conceded. We're nowhere close to that right now. Nowhere close.
I don't know if you guys have talked about this before I joined, right? You probably have.
We can talk about it again. It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
This thing with Trossard, the offer that's coming from Al Hilali from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Right. What is that about, guys? Now, I was chatting with Kenny about this. Is there something going on behind the scenes we know nothing about, that he's not happy, he's not getting the game time, he's being the apprentice to Martinelli? Don't forget, when we bought him from Brighton, he was the next best thing since sliced bread. Arteta doesn't start him, and I don't know why, but he is an impact player. I get that.
Right.
But is there something we don't know about here, guys? Now, I that worries me. That does worry me, right? Because their window don't shut. Now
we can't do a full 90 minutes, Jez.
Well,
he can't play a full 90.
He could.
We're talking about
Trossard here, right? Sorry to interrupt.
He can't have his back to goal, like we just mentioned before, Jez. His back's to goal. He's fucking useless.
Well, Trossard.
Yeah.
No.
I think he's technically sound. Here's the problem though, is that Jez, I think you are 100% correct that there is a problem between him and Arteta. I think that I think it's plain as day, to be honest. And let's go back a few years when we signed him back in January of 23, right? We signed him because he was again at the Brighton manager's throat. He was pissed because he wasn't getting the time he thought he deserved. And I called this out a little bit, Jez, but we can dive deeper into it. It was 100%. There's no mystery as to why he got that Middle Eastern offer. Is because they know that there is a rift when you go out and you score in your first touch against Villa and you don't celebrate because it's very, very obvious that you thought you should have started that match. And we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but
or right at training, we don't know how well he trains.
Exactly. If you put that out there, people are going to notice, and he will. Don't get me wrong. They will give him generational wealth. He can go out and play in front of 1,000 people at a high school football stadium in Turkey, or not in Turkey, in Saudi Arabia, and get paid a bunch of money. That's fine. But this is the Premier League. This is a big boy league. Okay. If things don't go your way, you can go out there and stare at the crowd and be like, yeah, I'm the fucking man. But then you go out there and you put in a fucking stinker like you did against Brighton. You really don't have much of a platform to stand on.
Fair point.
And look, they didn't bring in Sterling to take minutes from Trossard. Okay, they brought him in as a backup for Saka. Reece Nelson is not it, which is why he's going to Fulham, and we're stuck in the same boat that we were before. But yeah, Jess, to answer your question, 100% there's a rift. 100%.
Yeah.
Again,
Yes.
TJ Dow. How many times have we seen this with Arteta? Right, he's brought a player in, right, quality player. He bought him, right. He bought him.
Yeah, he did.
And now it's all suddenly looking a little bit shaky, right? As TJ's alluded to, quite rightly, that celebration against Villa, it was like a piss take.
Yeah.
You know? And now, all of a sudden, we're seeing a situation of, now, how do we not know? And we know we don't work behind the scenes. So we're only sitting here, you know, guessing.
Right.
But we've seen enough football in our lives. Yeah. The three of us sitting here right now have watched thousands of hours of bloody football. Right. So you can actually sort of look at a player and think, nah, you're not happy.
Mm.
You're not happy. Right. And then all of a sudden, as their window's still open, if they were to come in, right, and say, right, we'll give you 40 million for Trossard, right? And let's say, hypothetically, right, hypothetically, 40 million, right? Who's to say Arsenal won't turn around and go, oh, all right then. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but, right, we've got that player to go through. If that doesn't happen, we've got to go all the way through to all the games, right, up to Christmas, and then we got the January window. Now, hey, hello, I'm getting people telling me, right, in my chat today, oh, but we got the January window. Right, okay, big deal. What happens if we lose Trossard in that window?
Right.
Who are we going to get?
And Partey.
And Partey, yeah. It's a shit show, man.
It is. They have. There has to be some sort of list, right? There has to be a list that Edu has of players for every single position that they have there. You know, maybe you, Jess, can explain it better with your knowledge, or someone in the chat. There has to be some sort of list that they have a priority for each position, right? There has to be some information on that. Didn't we get Trossard on a free, or we paid
we paid 25 for him.
25 because he wasn't completely out of contract at Brighton.
Correct.
Right.
And he was a ball and he was a baller at Brighton. I mean, remember that one that's the same season he bagged a hat trick at Anfield.
Right. But that hasn't happened since.
Well, no shit. Yeah, well, no shit.
I mean, you know, and I'm just thinking that, you know, we've seen other wingers come and go, of course, throughout the last decades. And in all, Trossard has scored some important goals. But what we need is a full-fledged starter that can play for 80 minutes and can run the wing, cut inside, a few tricks, but has pace. Martinelli has the pace and the dribbling, but no real end product. Trossard has the technical ability and can finish, but not the pace. Right? I mean, it's like we're either one or the other. We're never like in the middle. And that in the middle is where we find the player that's better than Martinelli, Trossard, and possibly Sterling. I almost think that Sterling's going to play on that left side because, like Jez said, and you, TJ, the rift is there. So that's less confidence Arteta has in Trossard. And you can see the confidence he already doesn't have in Martinelli. So maybe he's really thinking of Sterling, Havertz, Saka front three is the way to go. Maybe Sterling can bag some important goals, like I said earlier in the show. We know he has the capability to do that, but we also know he can put in complete stinkers. So to be honest, on the Sterling thing, I'm more 60-40 on that. It's good, but it's still not the player we want. But at least we have some experience depth. But we'll see. We'll see what he can do, man. I'm not over the moon about it at all, but it's better than some French kid from League Two, I guess.
Well, no, and here's another question, and we're going back in terms of the show a little bit, but I wanted to ask Jez this question, especially with Declan Rice now confirmed, obviously out for the North London derby at Tottenham. Jez, who's in our midfield?
Oh, mate. Dear. Yeah. Well,
it's not great.
This is a question, isn't it? This is a major debating point because if you look at what happened at the game at the weekend, it took 8 to 9 minutes, right, for Arteta to make the decisions to change it up. And what he did, right, was put 5 in defence. Yeah?
Yep.
Surely any seasoned manager would, in that instant situation, would say, right, Havertz, you've got to come back midfield, strengthen it. It's not where I want you, but right now we need you there. That gives you a chance to get your thoughts together and say, right, okay, I'm hooking off, let's say, Saka or Martin or whoever.
Yeah.
Right. You then can throw you can then throw Zinchenko in the midfield, push Havertz back up top. We know he's crap in midfield. At least Jorginho is a calming type. He's not going to rip up any trees. He's not going to, do anything spectacular. But he's a calming influence. That's what I'd have done.
Yeah.
But no, what he did, right, was bring on Calafiori and put 5 in defence at home.
Right.
At home. And you were playing Brighton, Hove Albion. No disrespect to Brighton at all. They're a decent team. But you're playing 5 in the back at home.
And remember, just the clear-cut chances we had. If Havertz just had his feet in Saka, we would have been 3-4 goals in.
And what did he brought Zinchenko? Why?
Yeah, weird.
I didn't get the Zinchenko move at all, to be honest.
My thoughts, Jez. Oh, sorry, TJ.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Well, I was telling Jez on a comment on one of his videos with Lee when he was doing the review that my thought was just go into a 4-4-1. Like if Trossard's gone, you still have Martinelli on the left, you still have the core midfield of Partey and Odegaard, and you still have Saka on the right. And Havertz is just the hitman. I mean,
I totally agree with you, Dal. That's a great comment because at the end of the day, you could have done that.
You have 4 midfielders in front of the back 4, and you just hold it down. Granted, Saka and Martinelli would have a hell of a lot more distance to cover to get to the attacking third, but at least you wouldn't completely destroy your shape. 5 defenders threw everyone off. It threw a complexity to the game that really didn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
He makes things hard on himself. I don't know how else to do it, man. You lose a midfielder, you go into a 4-4-1. You lose your striker, you go into a 4-4-1. You lose a defender, then you bring on off a midfielder to bring that defender in to still have 4 in the back.
What do you think, Dal, Pep Guardiola would have done in that situation? Right. What do you think Pep Guardiola would have done?
If, let's say, Rodri got a red card, for instance, right?
Hypothetically, yeah.
Hypothetically, he goes into a 4-4-1.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just have Holland up there. You have Holland up there running the length of the pitch and trying to play long balls through like Lewis Dunk did to fucking annihilate us with a 40-yard pass up the middle that not one player got even a toe on.
The greatest English football manager in history, right? Yeah. So Alex Ferguson, without a question in doubt, he was the greatest English football manager. I know he's Scottish. I know that. But I remember the great game, right, at Old Trafford when Roy Keane got sent off for the tackle against Patrick Vieira.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I remember this.
Right. Sir Alex Ferguson went to, dare I say it, a 4-4-1. Hey, hello. How many people does it take to know that? That any top flight bloody manager, you'll strength if you're down to 10 men, the first place you go is block that midfield.
Yep.
You stop the opposing team coming through your midfield. And then you've got your defense as the second row.
For sure.
Yeah. Your first trench is the midfield. Your second trench is your defense. All right, you've got a lone player up front. Yeah, I get it. It's not what you want. It's not, but hey, sometimes you then have to change your tactic. Hello, a bit like what Mourinho used to do in that situation, what Sir Alex Ferguson used to do, right? You'd play the long ball.
Yeah, right. And just to piggyback on that, Jez, you can also take your, in the 4-4-1, you can take your left player and move them slightly up, and the other three come more middle. Or you could take your right winger to join the striker on the counter, and the other three midfielders move towards the middle. Now you have a 4-3-2 in attack, right? Because someone has to support the striker. But you're absolutely right. That midfield can move around, use the long ball. I would rate Kai Havertz getting on to a long ball. That's what he can do at 6'4" fucking 4 or 5. That's the idea, right? You play a long ball to Holland. They did it the first season. Man City changed their whole way of play the first season Holland joined. And what did they do? Long ball, long ball, long ball. And he bullied the center back and put it in the back of the net. Havertz has that potential, but not when he can't trap a ball, Jez. You're right. And he's falling over like Bambi on ice, and the ball goes out of bounds for a goal kick, or he puts a shot right at the keeper's feet. Next one, Saka puts the shot at the keeper's feet. Havertz puts another one at the keeper's feet, and then it's just like, is today just not our day? I mean, the one Saka was running on, and the ball Saka played to Havertz, and he slid on the ground right into the goalkeeper. I mean, it's like, is the long ball, would you think, Jez and TJ, the long ball to Havertz would work?
No.
Because he can't trap it.
He can't, because he can't hold the line. He can't hold the line is the problem. He's 10 yards off. He's 10 yards offside every single time I look at him. Right. Like he's and his runs are too early. Like that was my biggest criticism of Kai. And look, like great goal. He was able to get that to get the one that put us in the lead. Again, I'm not going to sing the Waka Waka song, but I think that, when he does get in positions where he can score, he's pretty consistent in burying it, at least so far. But the problem is if you're trying to play him in, 9 out of 10 times he's offside. And that is a huge problem, especially with teams that hold their line and use the offside trap very, very well, which is what Brighton was doing towards the end of that match to keep anything from going through. So right. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I don't rate Kai Havertz that highly. He needs to start showing me that he can beat the line and if we do send a ball in behind the line, that he's onside, because this has been a consistent thing with Kai Havertz playing in the 9 when we're on the attack. This is something that we complained about, and maybe this is an Arteta problem, because I remember we complained about the same thing with Gabriel Jesus last season too. Yeah. Like, what are we doing? Do we not time our runs during training? I don't know. Maybe I just don't see what Arteta's I don't smell what Arteta is cooking, because I'm a Yank and I don't know ball. Right. But it's consistent when we're getting caught offside several times. I mean, even on that goal, Kai Havertz had to adjust himself to get back onside. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy to me. So anyway,
65 mil.
Totally agree. The thing is, TJ, how many times have we seen this in the last 2 seasons? Nothing has changed.
Right.
Nothing has improved. Nothing has changed. Now, I had somebody tell me yesterday, and the same person told me today in my chat. Right, this guy Havertz. Now, hey, let me just quantify what I'm going to say. I did say at the start of last season, there's a player in there somewhere We just got to find him, right? I'll be the first to put my hands up and say that, right? Yeah. Now, yes, after Christmas just gone, he started to bang goals, and that's good, right? I had somebody say to me today he scored 18 goals in 17 games.
What?
Where are you getting that from? 18 goals in 17 games?
He scored the max he scored, I thought, was 15.
I'm not seeing that statistic anywhere.
You think he scored like 12 goals all season last season, and that's including the ones, and that's including the charity goal that he got against Bournemouth away. So I don't know
how many goals did Kai Havertz score for Arsenal last season.
18 in 17.
He scored 14.
That's a hell of a.
He scored 14 goals. Google says he scored 14 goals in 42 appearances.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, no, Jez, it's a narrative that people are trying to run. They're trying to prop this guy up, which is why, again, I don't mean to interrupt you. That part of the fan base gave the Cronkies and Arteta an excuse not to have to go out and get a quality striker, because they were out there singing 60 million down the drain. Kai Havertz scores again. So like the problem is that Kai Havertz isn't scoring enough. That's why we need a striker. And these. I swear to God, I really do think that social media and the way the fan base acts towards this manager and acts towards certain players in this club limits our ambition in getting good quality players in.
TJ Dow, right? You tell me any top level footballer, right, in the second half that's got the ball, right? He trips over it and kicks it out for a goal kick. Do you ever remember?
I haven't seen that one.
It's like a baby bloody giraffe.
Yeah, Bambi on ice, bro.
It's like bloody watching Bambi.
You did. I literally heard you both say Bambi like when that happened. When I was on my live stream, I was just like, "This is so bad."
I don't ever remember watching Thierry Henry. Manuel Petit or
Robert Van Persie
or the ilks of those type of players doing that sort of shit. I mean, come on, man. Seriously?
He's not good.
He's
not, I know it's lack of concentration, Jez, and you know that whole debacle, what we saw, really sums him up.
How can Dow, how can it be a lack of concentration when we had the pickpockets?
Yeah, no. What happened to the pickpockets? This dude's gonna need to buy a couple more wallets. Is all I'm gonna say.
Here's the thing, guys. Jaminho said it in chat. Shout out Jaminho and many other people, and even you guys said Kai Havertz is not going to get us a Premier League trophy.
Is he
plain and simple?
Jesus.
It's just not going to happen. And we can't rely on January, especially when they're going to charge us up the arse for January money. So the player that was 40 million is, as you guys know, is probably 65, 70 million in January. Right? We let Ivan Toney slip through our fingers. Osimhen to Galatasaray. Really? Okay. Make that make sense.
Ivan Toney. Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and then probably off to Saudi after that. I just, I don't know what's going to fix this. And the problem is it's not just going to be one player, right? We've had this discussion several times. What one player is going to really come in and change everything?
TK's loving it, by the way. TK's freaking loving the fact that he went to Galatasaray anyway. Sorry. He's loving it.
Do big things there, but
yeah.
Big up, Aaron.
Hey, and by the way, it looks like we just got raided. Big up. I believe it's the football corner, Sod's football corner for the raid. Big up. Nice. Yep, Sod raid. Yeah, what a legend this guy is. Big up, Sod. Thank you so much for the raid. Really appreciate it, guys. Smash the likes, subscribe if you are new people. We got Jez from the Arsenal History and More, and of course my co-host Oregon Goon. Go ahead, Dal. Sorry, my bad. Wanted to.
No, that's all good. Big up, Sod and raid and everyone in the chat for sure. Point I was making, Jez, is I just don't know if there's just that one player that's going to win us the league. We keep saying a striker, a striker, a striker. Yeah, I'm just not sure who it is, Jez, because like me and many of our fan base, the smart half, that I don't want to spend 80 to 100 million on a striker and come out with 12 goals. Right? I that's why I was against the Gyökeres deal from the get-go. It's too much money for an unproven talent.
Yeah.
I mean,
very true. Very true.
But then I don't really see anyone that I'm just like, oh, that's the guy, right? We talked about Jonathan David. We've talked about who else? Calvert-Lewin. Oh my God. We've talked about even Marcus Rashford was brought up, right?
Yeah, Marcus Rashford got brought up too. Jesus.
And now here we are with Sterling. I don't see the direction already.
I'm gonna ask you guys a hypothetical question here. What, and I don't think it's gonna happen, but I mean, after this draw at Brighton at home, I'm not gonna lie, and watching this Man City team, I think it's done already. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm still gonna watch them game in, game out in the Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. Hopefully they take that seriously now. But I mean, this Man City team is better than last season. Better. They got Gundogan back. Savio's looking like he's going to tear up trees. They got the regular guys. Holland just scoring goals for fun. What is that? 2 hat tricks in 2 games.
Yep.
Like, it's a joke to them. That's what's so, like, it's a juggernaut that will not be stopped. So I guess I'm kind of, like I've said, I'm glad that Arsenal broke my heart in August, so I can just, kind of enjoy the season the rest through and just watch them play footy. Obviously, I'm gonna watch every game, but bro, look,
we got a lot of football to play, guys. I mean, I know we're all down right now, right? We're all down right now because of the performance, but I mean, realistically, it's the 3rd week. We've got a shit ton more of games to go, and crazy things are going to happen at Christmas time, as you guys know.
Yeah.
Brighton are 2nd place right now or something. I mean,
no, Brighton are going to fall off.
They're not going to end up right.
Brighton are going to fall off, but you watch Liverpool absolutely dismantle Man United, and don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Man United were shit. They're awful.
Awesome.
They still don't have a style of play under Ten Hag. Long may it continue. Lifetime appointment for him. Anyway, all I'm going to say is that slot ball looks really good. I said at the beginning of the season they're not going to fall off. I went and saw them play in Philadelphia. They don't look any worse under slot. In some aspects, they look better. Their midfield looks incredible. Their transition play, especially against United, was absolutely class. And I'm supposed to believe that Liverpool are going to fall out of the top 4. Give me a fucking break. I'm not looking forward to either of our matches against Liverpool.
Right.
So that's why, like, I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer here. Like, I really don't. I want to be positive, but
the eyes don't lie.
The eyes don't lie, man. And then we have in a period of 9 days, we have Tottenham, Atalanta, and they're not a joke at all, especially away. Right. And then Man City away.
And Inter will be down the road.
And I don't care what anybody says. We still have to play it. We have to play tough teams like PSG, Girona. These are not jokes. This is not a joke. And you know what? I'm an idiot because I said I thought we could get 17, 18 points in that Champions League. Not playing like that. That's all I'm going to say. Not playing like that. But all right, guys, get your final questions in. We're going to American Waffle is going to be starting here pretty soon, so I'm going to have to redirect and go over there. But Jez, maybe final question for Jez. I mean, what's your prediction for the next? Obviously we have the international break. England have to play 2 games. I don't think anybody's necessarily really interested in international break. So what's your prediction for Arsenal's first 3 games back?
Oh, cracky. Tottenham away. If we've got a full team, no injuries, after the international break. I think we could get something there. It's a North London derby. It's one of them ones. We know how it works. It can go one or two ways, and Arsenal have got a decent record. So, being Mr. Positive, I will give you. I'll give you a 2-1 Arsenal.
Okay.
Okay. Atalanta away. I think it's going to be a tough day out. So I'll give you on that one. I'll give you 2-1 Atalanta.
Boo. It wouldn't surprise me.
Man City away is going to be a real drama with the way they are playing right now and how Haaland is. Dear,
Mhm.
dear, oh dear. I'm gonna have to be. God, I hate to have to say this, people. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go 2-0 Man City.
Yeah. I'm thinking, and then I'll go over to Dal. Here's what I'm thinking. I think we can beat Tottenham. I think they're reeling, and even with a Jorginho, Rice double pivot and Odegaard up top, I think that we can get at them. They're just in attack. They're just toothless. They depended on a Dan Burn own goal to score.
Right.
So I mean, and the rest of it, I mean, they beat a Everton team 4-0 that is going down. I told you guys at the beginning of the season, I think Everton are woeful, and I think they're going down.
Yep.
And then they drew against Leicester, a championship team, whether in name only. I know they got a couple of good players on there, but I mean, Jamie Vardy showed them how to play. So again, I think Tottenham are reeling. I think we can go in there and get a 2-1. If we don't, then it's looking long for the other two. So I think we absolutely have to win against Tottenham in order for us to get a result in the other two matches. I think if we draw against Tottenham, we lose in Italy. So I'm saying 2-1 Tottenham, or 2-1 against Tottenham, we win. And then in Atalanta, if we beat Spurs, we'll draw. And then Man City, we're not winning. I think it'll probably be a 2-1. We'll keep it close, but I just don't see this team having the depth to win. So, and big up Connor. No, Connor, I'm gonna have to close up here in about like 5 minutes. So big up. But yeah, thanks. We'll catch you on the next one for sure. Dal, what do you think, man?
I think we draw Tottenham 2-2, which I never thought I'd hear myself saying. I've always given, pretty much since the history of us doing the show, I've always given Arsenal the 2-1, 3-1, 1-0, and I rarely even pick draws. But I'm thinking it's going to be a 2-2 draw at the Spuds, unfortunately. I know I can see us going up 2-1, but I don't see us maintaining the mentality throughout the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we'll be in for an 89th minute surprise by one of those scumbags. So I'm thinking 2-2 Tottenham, and I'm thinking we thrash Atlanta 3-0. They've lost some players. They've got 2 players. They've got really 3 good players. They just got absolutely manhandled by Inter, even though we're not Inter, right? But
Right.
I think we go there and kick their ass, to be honest, because I think Arteta, especially if we draw or lose at Tottenham or win, that's going to give us the impotence to go kick the shit out of it at Atlanta. And I think we'll beat them 3-0. But then I think we lose 4-0 to City. I think we're going to get absolutely fucking pounded. It's going to be 4-0.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't see any, even with Rice back, I don't see anyone stopping that midfield, especially from Acers just put in there. De Bruyne, Rodri, Savio, Haaland, it's done. They're going to wipe the floor with us unless we are on it. Meaning we're not giving anything away and we're hitting them on the counter. I don't see us even scoring there at this point.
No, I agree with you. I mean, and at the end of the day, it comes back to the lack of quality that we have up front. We still don't have that 9, and the wingers Left is still undecided. I mean, and 2 weeks ago we were talking about how our left situation is looking a lot better, and now we don't know who's even going to play there. I mean, we were talking about what left backs are going to play there. Like, we still don't know. Anyway,
like I said, we're obsessed with this left wing position ever since Henry. Like, why can't we get this fucking ethos out of the club? We're not turning a gem of a left winger anytime soon. It's not working with Martinelli. It's not working with Trossard. And now we've gone back in time for Sterling. This left wing, we're already obsessed with it as a club. And I don't understand why. It's very strange. The more I think about it, it just really pisses me off more. But yeah, 3 or 4-0 at City, guys. I just don't see us scoring.
Well, on that positive note, I got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, Jez, shout yourself out. Arsenal history and more. Shout yourself out,
mate. Yes, as always. Thank you for having me on. Thoroughly enjoy it as always.
Yes, sir.
Arsenal history and more. Next show will be Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. The weekly chat show with the gang. Lee and Matty and any of you guys that are around, you're more than welcome to join me, of course. Wednesday night, and Lee's on there as cool, and my new guest that started his own channel very soon, Aaron, is in the chat.
Big up, Aaron.
And he's going to be starting up his channel on after the Tottenham game. So that'd be good. Big up to Aaron, and he's a top fella. He's been on the stream. He'll be joining me on Wednesday night. Okay. He's just getting used to being on YouTube. He's probably mad for doing it, but no, he's a really nice guy. In fairness, so yeah.
So cool. Aaron sounds a lot like me. You just pull people out and make them start their own channels, Jez. You realize that, right? I'm sorry. I'm starting. Here's the thing, Jez. I'm starting to see a pattern here. That's all.
Jez blesses people.
Jez blesses people. No, he picks diamonds out of the rough. He's a recruiter. Right. You know what I mean? He's
right.
class 92, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, maybe I can make a career of it. Maybe I should be a YouTube spotter.
There you go. Perfect. That's what I'm about. All right. Big up Jez every single time. Dal, shout yourself out, man.
Shout out everyone in the chat. Jez, thanks for jumping on. Glad I sent you the link. Thanks for coming through. TJ, great show again. I'm glad we got to get through this. And we didn't get through much to Man United, but United fans. Anyway, great show. Catch me Oregon Goon on YouTube.
Big up. All right, guys, we're going to redirect over to Staffy TV, where you will see me on my normal panel with Staffy and the rest of the American Waffle crew. It will be crazy. Go over there, say TJ Warren TV raid. I will be live next for a late show, I believe, on Thursday. I don't think I'm going to be able to go live tomorrow night, but Thursday night we will go live. Late show with some of your favorite content creators to be named later. So again, guys, again, thank you very, very much. Go over to Staffy TV, say TJ Warren TV raid, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Later.
Hello.